federal government actually recommends that you become a prepper. They want you to be prepared for any emergency situation, and they recommend that you have a kit on hand at all times. When we think about emergency kits, a lot of times we think about things like water and food and first aid kits. And yes, the federal government does recommend that you keep all of those supplies on hand. But today I want to talk about a few of the more obscure things that you might see on the list and a few recommendations that I have to keep your family safe in any emergency situation. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, has a great list on their website that talks about the basic things that every family needs to get ready for an emergency. So on their list, they have things that you would expect: water, non-perishable foods, a medical kit. We've talked about those in other videos, but they also have some things that maybe you haven't thought of. One of them is an emergency weather radio. Emergency weather radios are radios that are just dialed into a NOAA frequency where you can get emergency news reports at any time during a natural disaster. We have two different kinds of weather radios. We have the one that we keep at our house, which gets plugged into a wall outlet, and we also have a hand crank one that we keep in our emergency bags so that if we run out of power, we still have a way to get those emergency weather reports. It's absolutely critical, and I think it's an often overlooked kind of item that you can have on your checklist to help keep your family more informed in the event of an emergency in your local area. NOAA also recommends things like flashlights and extra batteries, which you should absolutely have. But I would like to take it a step further and recommend a headlamp. A headlamp is really useful because it provides you that light source that you require, but without the use of your hands, which means if you're trying to do stuff, whether that's prep a meal or clean something up or clean debris out of an area, you have your hands free. Another thing that's on the list that you may not have thought about is an emergency whistle. These are just tiny little whistles that you have that have a really high pitch that can help alert emergency responders. If you are stuck in a building or if you are in some place where maybe they can't see you, you can use that whistle to signal for help. Those are super important. We keep one of those in our office bag that we have and also in our cars, and then we keep one in our emergency kit at home. And the next one is just a dust mask. We have obviously all gotten used to masks because of COVID, but a dust mask is just a great way to keep your airways safe if there's a lot of contaminants in the air. And you want to get the ones that are certified so that you know that they're actually going to filter out contaminants. One of the other things that I think we forget about a lot of times in our emergency kits is a manual can opener. A lot of people have switched to electric can openers, and if you are saving those shelf-stable foods and all of a sudden you have a power outage, you may find yourself in a struggle to try to open your cans. So just make sure that you buy a couple manual can openers. Don't get neat and cute with those little military ones. I have some of those in our go bags, but we don't really want that for the house. Just buy a couple of sturdy can openers, have a couple extras. Again, those are great to make sure that you always have access to your food regardless of whether or not you have power in your house. The next item on the list are local maps. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Laura, why on earth do I need a local map? I know where I'm going. I know how to get around town. I have the same way that I drive to work every day or to get out to the highway, et cetera, et cetera. However, in an emergency situation, one of the things that's important to remember is that the roads that we take all the time could become blocked or impassable. And in that case, you might not have ready access in your brain of how to get around something. A local map can just make it less stressful to navigate. So one of the other things we want to talk about is just sanitation. In a situation where maybe the water lines are damaged or something is interrupted with the sewer system, you want to think about human waste and how you're going to dispose of it. Not the most pleasant topic, but definitely one you're going to want to think about in emergency situations. Again, FEMA recommends that you just have 5-gallon trash bags and some duct tape, and that will absolutely work. You can put those in your toilet if it's not working, and you can use that. However, I personally like the 5-gallon bucket method, and this 5-gallon bucket is a camp toilet. These are used a lot by campers and RVers who maybe don't have access to facilities when they're out kind of off-gridding. These camp toilets are great because they have a little seat that you can sit on, which just makes it a little bit more sturdy than trying to prop yourself up or hold a 5-gallon bag while you're trying to do your business. That's just not super easy to do. And so these buckets are just a great way to have a simple toilet that you can use for anyone in the family. And I really like these double duty bags to go with your camp toilet. These are just little bags that are double sealed that you can put inside the camp toilet here, where you can use the bathroom and then you can seal them up. It has a gel substance inside that really firms up after you use them, and so it cuts down on the smell and kind of some of the waste concerns. They're also double bagged, which means you're less likely to puncture them or have a spill, which again, in an emergency situation, when everyone's stressed out, who wants to be cleaning up all the things, right? Nobody. So invest in some bags, invest in a little toilet, and just have a plan for how you are going to take care of sanitation needs. One of the other things that's on the FEMA list is just waterproof matches. Now, I think waterproof matches are great, but I want to offer another alternative as well. Invest in a few lighters. Bic lighters light every time and they don't expire. So go buy a case of those because that will give you easy access to fire without having to fight matches all the time. I'd also recommend getting some of the longer ones that you can use to light a fire or light a grill. This just keeps your fingers out of harm's way if you are in an emergency situation. The last item I want to highlight is just entertainment. We think a lot about kind of the supplies and the things that we need to survive, but a lot of times we forget the mental health aspect of emergency situations. Make sure that you have some form of entertainment. There's a lot of times we list entertainment for kids. Oh, give them coloring books or give them their favorite stuffed animal. And yes, you should absolutely think about that. But think about entertainment for yourself too. Do you guys like playing cards? Do you have a certain board game you enjoy? Do you like puzzles? Are there craft things that you enjoy? Yes, you may not be doing those in a catastrophic emergency event, I get that. But if you're just in the middle of a power outage for a few days, you're going to want to entertain yourself. And having those things already on hand where they're in your kit and ready to go can just make it a little bit easier. So this is a great checklist to use to get started to build an emergency kit that will get you through a 72-hour power outage or storm. I absolutely love this as a starting place for people to go. And if you go on to the website of ready.gov, you're going to find some great resources in terms of making communication plans and getting your family ready for an emergency. I would highly encourage you to check out that site. There's a lot of awesome resources that you can use. And don't forget to download your checklist below. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for joining me on preparedness today. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear your thoughts on which items maybe you had thought of before or hadn't thought of, or if there's anything that you think that everyone should have in their emergency kit, just drop a comment below. And as always, if you haven't done so, hit subscribe, hit like. I would love for you to stick around on this prepping journey with me. And remember, we're prepared, not scared. So I would just recommend an N95 mask made in the United States, and that is certified by somebody. NOAA, NIOSH, the people that do building supplies. I should ask my brother-in-law. He's a contractor. That's super awkward. So I don't really like that.